Welcome to One Verse Homily, where we are marching through the scriptures one verse at a time. We've been in the book of Genesis. Currently, we are in verse 11. I had to check. And I'm going to be reading this out of the English Standard Version, so follow along with me. Verse 11 says, "And God said, let the earth sprout vegetation, plants yielding seed, and fruit trees bearing fruit, in which is their seed, each according to its kind on the earth. And it was so." Now in the previous verses, especially in verse 10, and I didn't mention this in my last video in verse 10, and it's a major point. It says, "And God saw that it was good," and he was referring to how he had brought about the dry land, called it earth, and then the waters he called the seas. So he's putting together the creation, he's forming it, and he's calling that good. Now remember that statement, and God called it good. As we get into verse 11, he's beginning to put together the vegetation, and of course, as we know, the earth needs vegetation for life. It's the sustenance for all different types of life, especially for us as humans. We rely on it for our survival. And here he says, let the earth sprout vegetation, plants yielding seed. Now the word seed in the scriptures is very crucial, very important, because a seed is something that brings about a future. You put a seed in the ground, and if it's taken care of properly, it will grow into a new plant, a new tree, whatever. We have a seed that is planted in a lot of different ways that brings about life, whether it's a plant, whether it's a person, whether it's an animal. There are seeds, and as long as they're fertilized and taken care of, will produce new life. And of course we know that the source of this new life is God himself. Nothing can have life apart from him. So he goes on to say, "And fruit trees bearing fruit, in which is their seed." So the word seed again, so it's mentioned twice now. "Each according to its kind on the earth. And it was so." And they reproduce each according to their kind. Now you can get the debate from the sides saying, regarding particular branches of evolution that talk about how primates evolved into something that would be more like us. Now I think when God says here, "and according to its kind," it is referring to plant life at this point, but I think there's a principle here that things can only reproduce according to their kind. There's the DNA that God has planted in there, the seed that we see mentioned here twice. The information is stored in that to produce the same thing, so that it can have a future. And so there are generations, not only to humans but to plants as well. And then here, and it was so, and it was the way that God said it was going to work. So that's that affirming statement. I appreciate you watching this. Be sure to subscribe to my channel for more of these verses, and don't forget the notification bell so that you can get these verses as they go up, and I'll see you in the next video.